Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica. I'm going to say a little bit about Black and Pink first. We want to thank MassEquality for making this all possible. A little bit about us. We're one of the co-sponsors of today's event. We're a queer prison abolition group. We support LGBT and HIV positive people in prisons and in the United States. We're a network of currently and formerly incarcerated people and accomplices, and we're all working to support our community and dismantle the prison industrial complex. Thank you so much for being here. We're really excited about today's panel. Tanya?
I am Tanya Neslusan. I am the Executive Director of MassEquality, which is a statewide advocacy organization for all LGBTQ people with the goal of helping people to truly have lived equality beyond legislative equality. Our first panelist today is Chastity Bowick. Chastity is a New England-based activist, civil rights leader, and transgender health advocate. She is currently the director of the Transgender Emergency Fund, the leading crisis agency for transgender communities in Massachusetts, and she is a community member of the Massachusetts Transgender Political Coalition, which is an organization dedicated to ending discrimination on the basis of gender identity and gender expression. Jennifer Love is a formerly incarcerated transgender woman from New Jersey. She is an entertainer, advocate, public speaker, and founder of the Gen Love Project that supports LGBTQ people being released from prisons and jails. She also co-chairs the formerly incarcerated subgroup of the National LGBTQ HIV Criminal Justice Working Group based in Washington, D.C. Jen's favorite phrase is #It's all about the love. Angelina Resto is a formerly incarcerated transgender woman. She made history by being the first transgender woman to be transferred from a male to a female designated prison in Massachusetts. Through her work with Black and Pink, she is a public speaker and fearless advocate for other transgender women within the system. She is a member of the National LGBTQ HIV Criminal Justice Working Group based in Washington, D.C., and she now resides in Boston, Massachusetts. Riot. Diaz is a 23-year-old Black, non-binary, bisexual, disabled organizer, parent, and abolitionist. Rihanna Jefferson is from Taunton, Mass. She's a huge family girl. She's honest, outgoing, has 9 brothers and sisters, and her mom is her best friend and biggest support. Rihanna is connected to Black and Pink through her pen pal, Katie, who she started writing a few years ago, and they've been friends ever since. Rihanna is recently sober and excited to get her life back and be happy on parole and happy to be back, have her life back, be happy and carefree. She recently came home from the Mass system and is now looking forward to deepening the way she loves herself. And finally, we have Jessica Kant, who is an organizer with Black and Pink Boston and a researcher. Her efforts are focused on dismantling the prison industrial complex through the exposure of health inequities, using health justice as a framework for total abolition. Jessica is motivated by the idea that trans liberation and the abolition of the carceral state are 2 sides of the same struggle. Jessica?
Thank you so much. So I want to start up top by giving profound gratitude to everyone for being here, and especially for the panelists. I am really amazed by you and inspired. I'm really lucky to be able to be here as a facilitator. You know, anybody who's been paying attention to the world right now knows that it is a hard time to be a trans person in this country and in this world. And in particular, it is a hard time to be a trans person of color. And I am mindful going into this, mindful of my own whiteness. And my job as a facilitator here is just to ask questions and keep time. And I invite you to push back if I'm trying to keep time in any way that doesn't feel good. I want to say a couple of things about the content we're going to go through and a little bit about the format. You know, we're doing this over Zoom, which is a little wonky. You know, usually a panel like this would be we'd be in person and we'd be having fun and be able to make eye contact with each other. So this might feel a little bit more contrived. And so I apologize for that. So, and finally, something that's really important to say up top, especially if we're talking about trans folks, but anytime we talk about the prison system and the criminal legal system, we we are talking about sexual violence. And so, we have the registration list for this event is enormous, and I am told that there are a lot of people on Facebook as well. And we know it's a varied audience. So we want to encourage you strongly to care for yourselves and love for yourselves. So we're going to try and give content warnings if possible, but that may not always be possible. It may just come up organically. So do what you need to do. Take a walk, get a glass of water, come back, and we love you. And with that, panelists, I want to start, and I'm going to go, if that's okay, I'm going to go in order of my screen. I want to ask a little bit about, in a second, my notes are over here. I'd love if you could talk just for a couple minutes each about what is it like to be a transgender person in this world, particularly a trans person of color? What do you want our audience to know? Chastity, can I start with you?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I just want to say hello to my lovely co-panelists. And every day is different being a Black transgender female, because I don't know what my day is going to look like or end like. I don't know if I'm going to make it home. I don't know if one of my close sisters are going to be murdered that day, raped that day, beaten that day. We don't know where we're going to be discriminated against that day. It's just every day is a struggle. I know that my interactions with law enforcement haven't been pretty. I've been fortunate enough not to have been incarcerated, but just my own interactions with them has been very devastating. So I don't feel protected as a citizen, first and foremost. And I kind of feel like I'm worse than a second-class citizen because they treat them better than they treat us. So I feel like my community is what keeps me going and what keeps me sane. And without my community, I don't know where I would be today. And I think that that's very important for everyone who's watching this today, is to know that community means a lot to us. I don't know how other people see community, but within the transgender community, we hold each other up, we lift each other up. And we need to be an example for other people, but we also need our allies to do the same thing. Don't just sit behind your computer and share our photos and share our posts and say, oh, look at them go. No, we need you to get out, get on the street and fight with us. Fight these crooked laws that we have against us, and just help us live like humans, just like you have the equal rights. We want the same thing.
Thank you so much. Jennifer, do you want to follow up?
Everything that Chastity just said, I 100% agree with. It's sad that we as people are living in our own truth. My transition, me being a Black trans woman, is not affecting no one else. However, everybody feels inclined to speak on my behalf, to downgrade me. Sometimes it's even within our own LGBT community. And first and foremost, I'm Black, and even in my own Black community, it makes me nervous. I have things to do. I have businesses that I have to attend to. And it's always the fear of, am I gonna make it back home? Because this situation is so heightened. At one point in time, it was just beating the hell out of some of us for no reason. Now y'all even going out here killing, and nobody's even serving the proper time for us. So me standing here in my truth, I'm not bothering nobody. I'm just being the most positive and productive member of society that I could possibly be. And yet at every angle, I got so many daggers coming at me while I'm trying to live peacefully.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's true, we can't talk about the trans experience in this moment without talking about white supremacy and dismantling that. And I appreciate you for what you're saying. Angie, do you want to follow up?
I said I want to thank the panelists first and foremost for allowing me to be here today with you people celebrating Pride Day. And I have to agree with Chastity and Jennifer Love, because being a Latin American African woman that I am, it's not easy for me either. Like, my struggle hasn't been easy, you know. Going on 57 years that I am, you know, my struggle's been a run. But what makes me proud and what keeps me holding myself up, that my voice is heard every day. Even when I walk the streets of Boston, that I'm getting to know now. You know, I see a lot of trans women out here, gay, queers, bisexuals, that they stop and they give me my compliment of who I am and how I stand for myself. And that's what keeps me going on a daily basis. But being protected, no, I don't feel protected because of the woman that we are. You know, we're just human beings. We just be for life, like Jennifer says. And we can't even do that, you know, because the racism, the discrimination, the people coming to us, why can't we live as they live, you know? Why can't we breathe like they breathe? Why can't we be equal? And what keeps me going on a daily basis is my voice being heard.
Riot, can I turn it over to you?
Yes. Sorry. Am I good? Can you hear me? Okay, dope. So just like everybody else was saying, I feel like it was like a really intense question. I wasn't expecting you to start off that way. I was like, how does it feel like? Not good. No. But in all seriousness, being a trans person of color can be like this beautiful, amazing thing. Like when you're with your community and like figuring out who you are and like expressing yourself and being like, oh my God, there's like, I didn't know I could find love like this, like in community. It's like family sometimes. But then going out into the world and society treating you like you are a burden or that you're wrong for being who you are. And not only that, but like they have the right to, trigger warning, murder. They have the right to be able to kill you if they are like, that's like disgusting or whatever, just because they don't understand. And it's, it can be really like disheartening and heartbreaking all the time to know that the people you love or even you might not make it home. Like everybody else was saying, you don't know if you're gonna make it home at the end of the day. And that's so sad. That's so sad that you just want to be happy and live your life. And there's people who are like, no. What do you mean no? So, yeah.
I just want to say, Riot, and actually everyone, you pointed this out, this was definitely a much bigger question than I thought it would be starting out. And so I apologize. That's my bad. That's on me. Hopefully it's going to be my bad from here on out. I appreciate you calling me in. For tech folks who are behind the scenes, I would ask, can you give me mute privileges, please? Just in case there are background noises. So for the question to sort of ground us, you know, right now we're in a really unique moment where, you know, a lot of us have been talking about abolition since forever and talking about like changing this system. And for a long time, it's been kind of a dirty word. And now it's having its moment. And so one of the things that audience members wanted to know first of all was, you know, as you hear the response, you know, if you, all of you respectively, if maybe two of you want to respond to this, want to say what you would do with that money that we would take from the police to support trans people, in particular, system impacted trans people.
I definitely want to answer that that question. So I think first and foremost, we would start, like what I was saying, a transitional housing program that will get a lot of the homeless transgender women off of the streets. And this is not going to be like a regular shelter where you go, you stay, and during the day you got to get out and find something to do. No, this is where we will provide the resources and the tools needed for trans people to become sustainable. Because if you don't provide us with these tools, we're not going to become sustainable. You know, provide us with case management and to go on our resume, look at our query, figure out why we can't get that job, look at our credit score, figure out why we can't get that apartment. You know, help us rehabilitate ourselves if we were incarcerated. It needs to be a full range of services for us, by us. And within that compasses, it will also be a food bank that will be specifically for the transgender community, so they can have access to fresh food, fresh nutritional food. And I think that that would be a good start. And also having like a subset of vouchers, housing vouchers, specifically for the trans community to disperse out so we can have housing like everyone else. I think that that would be a good start. And then also providing like resources specifically to transgender ran organizations to make sure that they are adequately ran just like these white organizations are.
Can I ask a follow-up question, and either Chastity, you can answer this, or anyone else can answer this, but can you speak to the importance of organizations being trans-run?
I think it's very important because, like I said, at the March and Visual we had a few weeks ago, we are more than just the HIV test and a slice of pizza. Like, that's what most of these agencies that are ran by Caucasian gay men, that's what they see us as. They see us as a number and an insurance dollar on how they can get more revenue into their organizations. So that's why it's very important that when it's done by us, we're gonna make sure that we're taken care of the way we need to be taken care of. You can, a white gay man cannot tell me the resources I need to be sustainable. Like, you can't. You haven't walked in my shoes. Like, what trick did you have to turn for your next meal? You know, what abusive relationship were you in that the police didn't consider abusive? That was just two men having a disagreement. It's like you never lived in any of our shoes. So I feel like that's the biggest problem these organizations have when they claim they're trying to serve transgender women of color.
I'm noticing a lot of head nodding. I saw Riot, Angie, and Love. Actually, I saw everybody nodding their heads. Anybody else want to add to that?
I would like to add to that. Can I add to that? Okay. So I would also like to say, you know, I love what the sister just said, but we also have to look at this point of view, right? We need all this help and we need all these foundations and all these organizations to help us as women that we are, and, you know, as trans women that we are. But we also need to help the women that are coming out of prison and don't have nowhere to go. Let's find a place for these women. You know, for an example, I'm gonna give a perfect example of myself, and I like to use the I statement because I'm referring to myself. When I came out only with a check, thanks to Mike, that he was there with a big bouquet of flowers and some money for me. I had nowhere to go. All right, thinking that my family was gonna help me and all the promises they gave me. No, they left me for dead. So I was jumping from here to there. Mike could tell you how my life went in this year that I've been out. Not that I made it, because I made it, but not to where I wanted to. I want to have my own. I want to have my key that I could go in and out and no one can tell me nothing. I want to be the owner of this place, you know? Give me that privileges, you know? Let me be that woman. Let me succeed just like everybody else is succeeding, you know? What about us? When are we gonna get the opportunity to be the woman that we are? You know?
Thanks, Angie. I mean, I'm really excited that we're going to talk exactly about that. We're going to talk about reentry in a little bit. We have some amazing reentry work, including your work, being done by this panel. Does one more person want to respond to that before we move on? Jen, go for it.
Y'all can hear me? Okay. There are people, a lot of the times, okay, the importance of a trans-led organization is because they know exactly what we need. We all have different journeys in life, and some need more than others, but at the core, there are basic needs that we need that you can't always just lump us in with the rest of the community. We are an entity by ourselves, not to separate us, but we are an entity by ourselves. And there's so many needs that a lot of times, like I live here in Jersey, and a lot of things is not here for the girls and men, because everything is either for gay men, for lesbians, or for children. And when I run across a thing or two, they are trying to make a way to help me out. Okay, I'm going to get what I need, whether you like it or not, but I have my other sisters and brothers who are in need. So this is when we see these agencies that led people that look like me, that know exactly what I deal with and what I need because they are me. And that's the importance of having trans-led organizations.
Thank you. I saw that we're having some people in the audience raising their hands. We're going to get to questions, but first we want to run through some of the amazing work that the other people on this panel have done. So we will get to you, audience, but a little bit later. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm going to start off. This is the part where we go into specific questions. And Angie, the first one is for you. You know, you made history here, as you said before, as the first transgender woman to be place in Massachusetts to MCI Framingham and what it took to get there.
Okay, well, it was a lot of pain at first because it took a lot of work, but at the end it was worth it. Not only for myself, the most amazing thing of this was that I only opened doors not only for myself, but for other transgender women like myself, so they don't have to go through what I went through. You know what it is to be sexually harassed, raped in a prison system? I went through that, not only once, 2 but 3 times. So I know what it is. You think I want to see another my sister go through what I went through? Hell no. Hell no. And if I have to do this over again, I would, and with a lot of pride. Because what I stand is for equality, my pride, and my dignity. And they can never take that away from me. You could tell me when to go take a shower. You could tell me when to eat, when to lock in, and when to go to bed. But you will never take away from me my pride, my dignity, and my equality as a person and as a human being. And I fought strong. It was a struggle. It was a struggle. Did I cry on a daily basis? Was I scared on a daily basis? Yes, I was. The thing that kept me strong was the man that I met in there. That today we've been together 4.5 years. You know, that's what kept me strong. And he kept pushing me. No, Angie, keep going forward. Don't give up, because we got this. Even if we got to stand together and we have to get in love and go into confinement, I'm proud of myself because of that. Not only because of me, because now other women like myself have the opportunity to never be abused in a men's prison. Like, I'm very proud of myself, not only for myself, like I said, also for transgender women, Black women, Latina women, Asian women that are out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I consider myself a Latin American Black woman, you know? And I'm very proud to say that with my head up high. And I'm very proud of everything that I have achieved. Not only what I was inside the prison system, but what I achieved, what I've been out here, you know, and I to stand where I am today. So not that I want to pat myself in the back, but I give myself a check mark because then I did this all on my own. No one, yes, Black and Pink stood there for me, Glass stood there for me, PLS stood there for me, and my best friend. If you only knew what it is to be behind these prison walls, like we women that be there when we tell our stories, please believe us, because it is what we tell y'all. This is what it is. This is how we get treated. This is what we get. You know what that you gotta walk all the women. There comes the he she's. You know how harmful that is. Still today, that's a wound mine that is not easy to heal. But what keeps me strong is I can pain, because me, my friend, for love, that I got so much love for my sister and the women that I have met here, Katie, you know, Jennifer, everything. But when we will tell you this, believe us, man, because this is the treatment that we as women, we are targeted in the prison system. Besides a female, the next thing is a transgender woman. They look like a sex symbol, you know? And trust me, when we tell you these stories are real. This happened in real life, but you have to live it. You know what I'm saying? Like we have, like me, Jennifer Love, you know, other women that are here right now in this panel, they could tell you, man, this is real. This is not fake. This is not a made up story. These happen to us on a daily basis when you're behind these prison walls. I got more sexually harassed by staff than what I did by inmates. And that's a shame. That's a shame.
I'm wondering,
you know?
Angie, thank you for that. I'm wondering, Rhianna, is it okay if I pivot to you? Because I have some questions that are directly related to what Angie's been sharing.
Okay.
You know, first of all, I'm so happy that you're back in the community. I know that you just came back to us. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
Can you tell us a little bit about about what's helping with area entry, what's working well, what's not working, and what could be done better?
Talking to me, right? Okay. As far as back in the community, Black and Pink actually helped me because they hit my sober house, and it's really difficult nowadays to find a sober house to move into because a lot of places, like on your ID card, the sex says male instead of female, you're not allowed in any of those places. It has to say female. So like I was denied a lot of those chances to go to places where I wanted to go. Now I'm living in an all men sober house, and my roommates are pretty cool. But thank God that they are, because like there's a girl house that's linked to ours, and some girl just passed away because she committed suicide. She was bulimic, and a lot of girls were bullying her. So I can only imagine like how I would have felt if I came to a house and someone didn't accept me. But like being who I am, I've learned that I really don't care what people say. You know what I mean? As much about me, because I know who I am and I love myself. But 10 years ago, I can't say that about myself. So the generation and everything that's going on, it's really tough out there. And my best advice to everybody in jail, like, is you just got to keep your head up, because no matter what, it's always gonna be hating. It's always gonna hurt when you lay down at night, knowing that, you know what I mean? You're by yourself in that cell, and no one can help you. And you have family on the out, and you have no one to talk to. That's the worst. If someone's not there that relates to you, no one's gay or trans, like it's really sucks because you have nobody to talk to. And a straight guy is not gonna want to talk to you about something like that. But as far as harassment, like Angie was saying, that's like completely true, because even being a pretty male in jail with all these guys that are in feds and doing state time, like they chew that up, and like that PREA Act is real, like, and they don't play that. They'll pick up a charge in there for even doing anything like that. And the guards, even sexually harassed, like they do that. They make jokes and stuff, which is cool. But some of them even make like type of jokes where it's like directed towards you, where they're making sexual harassment jokes like that. They're coming on to you pretty much. And that's not okay, because they could lose their job. And if they can do that, then that means they really don't even care. So what else would they do? You know, how far can this go? I know plenty of people that have been raped in prison, and it's just not a pretty thing. It's sad. And we don't have that many resources on the street as much. I was just put on to Fenway. I haven't been there yet, but I want to start my hormone treatment soon and go from there. Just coming home. I came home on Monday, everybody. So hi. I am extremely happy. Thank you. Black and Pink has got me through a lot of tough stuff in there. Like she said from the beginning, I met my friend Katie. Katie is one of my good friends. She's always been there for me, no matter what. It was like weird, because I always got pen pals from Black and Pink, but she was the one that put her address, and I felt like I should have back, so I did. She visited me and writing me all the time, and you know, she was letting it down, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Katie. I love you. Black and Pink has done a lot for me, paying bills, you know, the newsletters, the cards, the canteen, the sober house. Like, I just appreciate that community, especially being trans and stuff like that. If you're not comfortable who you are, it can cause a relapse. You know what I mean? A lot of them, there's a lot of transgender homeless people that are out there because their family doesn't accept them, and then they have drug problems. That's the even worse. And if you're not strong enough and you don't want it, you're not going to want it. You're not going to do it. And this time it's just different because I wanted it, and I want to change, and all my friends and family seeing that I want to change. And I look so much more better and healthier, and I'm just so much more happier. And I'm glad that I'm here today. Love you, girls.
We're glad that you're here too. Welcome home.
Thank you.
For those who are in the audience who might not be familiar, Rihanna was just mentioning PREA. If you're not familiar, PREA is the Prison Rape Elimination Act. It is however it was intended, it has been used to criminalize and hurt queer people in prison more than possibly anything else. And so I would encourage you to look that up. Mike, if you could put a link to information about PREA. I know Black and Pink has done some publications about that. I think that would be really great. Rihanna, I wanted to ask you one more thing before we move on and getting closer back to what Angie was talking about. You know, people don't know what it's like behind the wall. People like myself who've never been incarcerated, we don't know what it's like to be a woman in a men's prison. And so can you talk a little bit about that? Can you talk about also, like, were there things that worked? You know, were there things that you felt were protective, and what didn't? What needs to change?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so like I'm from Massachusetts, obviously, and I was in the Bristol County area, and I went to the Bristol County jail, and that was Dartmouth. And now in Dartmouth, I know everybody from around this area, so a lot of people know me. I'm really cool with everybody there. So my experience wasn't as difficult as it had been. But like I've said, I've been in and out for so many years that like that's how they know me. But when I first got there, I wasn't like that. And they ended up giving my name Rihanna and all that because I had the short hair, Rihanna cut. I was just transferred to Billerica, and that's North Boston near Lowell area. And when I got there, I had my mental health counselor, and they were actually way more nicer about the situation, I should say, more friendlier, and they actually had more resources for me, like sports bras and panties and makeup. And, you know, those little things count. I mean, it makes a big difference. The hormones, everything, they provide all that for you, and they come and check on you. They see what you need. Like nobody's judging you. It's a real good place to start. I mean, as far as being trans in jail, that's really hard because people don't understand that, and it's just difficult to adapt to a situation like that. And if you're not familiar with adapting to those type of situations, it's really hard for you to adapt to them. So, like I would say, my best advice for anybody like that in prison is to just be yourself, keep a low profile, don't initiate anything that you would not want to pursue, is what I should say, because that can make a situation turn really bad, especially if it's a joke. I've seen situations like that where, like, if someone jokes with somebody, they joke back, and then something happens, and it's like, I didn't want that to happen, but you joked with them, so you open that door. So don't open any type of doors that can prevent that. Another thing is you have to grieve. You have to write grievances. You have to provide anything you think you need. You have to put that on paper. You have to have a paper trail, because as long as you have a paper trail, a lawyer, the personal lawyers from the jail and also prison legal services will help you and provide whatever you need while you're in there. Because if you don't open up your mouth, like they say, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So as long as you tell everybody what you need, everything should be done, as long as it's their criteria. They just go by the rules pretty much. But I got everything I've needed since I was in there, and it ended up being okay. Like I said, I moved to a different jail where I didn't know anybody, and it was a different scenery for me, and it also works out for the best. So like I said, so if somebody was new to jail, it wouldn't be a hard thing to adapt to where you go to, as long as you want it and you're in the right place. Obviously jail sucks, but you just got to keep your head up, like I said, and keep a low profile and just be you. That's all I feel like. Everybody should just be themselves. That's all I got.
Thank you so much for that. I think that piece of advice is stuff that we've heard a lot about, particularly about writing things down and keeping them. And I'm wondering if you agree with this. I've been told that, and with my own pen pals, that like that is a role that those of us on the outside can play that can be helpful. If you need to get stuff out, that we can help document things for you. Is that something that you find helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I had Katie to do that for me, like just setting up things and appointments or whatever you need. You know what I mean? And like just being in close contact with the caseworker that's working your unit or the superintendent and stuff like that. As long as you keep the open communication lines, they work with you and they will work with you.
Awesome, thank you. Jennifer Love, we had a chance to talk yesterday, and you were telling me about the Jennifer Love Project, and we were talking about reentry right now, and I would love to hear a little bit more about that. So can you tell people a little bit about your work?
Okay, well, I've been home for 6 years, and 6 years ago, I had the opportunity of coming home to a stable home and care packages. My family, however, didn't know if I was going to go back to being a boy or continue on being a girl. So they had one half of the bed all boy stuff and the other half of the bed all girl stuff. So in my mind, I pretty much gave away everything of the boy stuff. And I kept saying to myself that as I'm meeting other LGBTQ plus people that's coming home, especially the girls, I'm realizing just how privileged I am to come home to have this, to didn't have to struggle. So I wanted to get ahead and create something with the basic necessities to be a toolkit and a stepping stone for my sisters and brothers that's coming home from prisons and jails, which consists of, the packages will consist of t-shirts, socks, panty, and or boxer, deodorant, face masks, hand sanitizer, soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, gift card voucher for food like Subways, McDonald's, depending on your location, transportation tickets, like two-way transportation tickets, the basic tools to help you, and some wipes, so body wipes to wash up in case you don't have a stable situation to wash up. It's not something that's going to be a long-term thing per person, but it's something to help you start, because I had that, and I want to do my part to make sure that my fellow sisters and brothers have that, because a lot of us don't have family or even a community, especially if you've been gone for a while. People have moved on in life and you're not there, so you have nothing, and I want to do my part to make sure that they have.
How can people, you know, I imagine you're getting a lot of requests because what you're talking about providing is so necessary. How can people get in contact with you? What's the best way for people to connect with or support the Gen Love Project?
Well, I finally pinned the my ActBlue account to my Facebook, to my Instagram, and to my Twitter. So you can just go right on there and click onto the link. On Facebook, I'm Jennifer Love Williams. On Instagram, I'm Jennifer Love 1976, one word. On Twitter, I am Jenny, Jenni, Love 1976, one word. And it's right in the bio on each page. And the bio and the link for the ActBlue to make your donations for everyone listening who wants to donate. I'm very thankful for it, and every dollar helps.
Thank you. And I see that for everyone in the audience, Mike is posting these links, so please support the Gen Love Project and the projects of all of the incredible people on this panel. I want to go back to something that we talked about yesterday. And we talked a little bit about trying to access HRT, and can you talk a little bit about the struggles of trying to...
Okay, well, first and foremost, for all of you guys who are non-trans folks and who don't know what HRT is, that's our hormone therapy. And back in 2009, before I signed the plea deal, the first question I asked to my lawyer was, all the medications that I'm on by my doctor, will I be able to continue it if I sign this plea deal and go ahead to prison? And he was told me yes, but I still asked the judge, and it's recorded from the court clerk of me asking this and him telling me yes. They gave me a pre-sentencing hearing, and I had to submit everything. So my medical team had submitted everything from the last 5 years, as well as me bringing physical copies in. Nevertheless, when I signed out the hospital to go get sentenced, and the county took like 3.5 months before before the state finally took me. And then when the state took me, I ended up in solitary confinement for some bad actions done against me. Nevertheless, it took 1 year and a month before I was even given access to the proper hormones. Granted, when DOC, New Jersey DOC took me, they immediately, you have breasts, let me go ahead and give you some Premarin. What is Premarin? When I don't come this far, I need my estrogen. What comes this far? That Premarin is nothing to me. I don't elevate it to estrogen, but this is what you're gonna give me? And I couldn't fight it at that time because I had limited access because I was an ASAG. But when I got the population, one of the first things I did was write it up, and then when I got my response back, I went upstairs to the law library and made photocopies of the response that they gave me, which was blah. And they don't do that. And I sent it to my mom, and then she talked to me and told me, don't y'all have an advocate? So that would be the ombudsman. So I talked to the ombudsman, and my mother had got my lawyer involved, as well as my doctor at the time involved. And those four together finally got me able to get back on my estrogen to complete my hormone therapy, as I should have been. I shouldn't have been taken off for this past year and some change, because you didn't want to spend the money to get it because you can care less. Now, granted, there were another girl in the same location I was in, but she was the black market way. So you're only going to get those Premarin, but to get the estrogen, the injections, I needed the doctors and everybody to get on board and to show proof that I gave all this in beforehand and pull these court records to show that the judge said that anything I'm on by the doctor, I have to still get. And that includes my hormones. So why aren't they here? I don't care about the money you got to spend.
When we talked yesterday, one of the things that came up is your point about Premarin is so important, right? That, and I will preface this by saying I am not a physician, and we know that Premarin has not been the gold standard for a long time. And it's important for people thinking about what it's like to be a trans person accessing healthcare in prison that, yes, theoretically the state is required to provide hormones and hormone therapy. That does not mean A, that they're going to comply with the law, and B, that doesn't mean they're going to give even close to the gold standard. And I was really struck yesterday when you were sharing about this experience of getting Premarin prescriptions, which had nothing to do with what you needed for your HRT regimen.
I guess I can't speak for every county in Jersey City as far as the jails go. New Jersey. I can only speak for Hudson County Correction Facility, which is the county I live in, and the county that I had to serve the time until the state took me, and then New Jersey DOC. Their mind frame is because you have the breast. That's the only way you're going to get it, because you're coming in there with breasts, as far as the trans women go. Oh, they're going to give you Premarin, and Premarin is what you're giving in the very beginning phases of your transition. Every girl can't wait until our doctors, if you're doing it by a doctor, till you move to the Premarin, because that starts this. These don't start until that starts. And I don't want to go back, but I spent a lot of time financially and on my body, and my body done got adjusted to the changes of life that I had to go through. And here you go. You just want to strip me of it.
Yeah. Thanks for saying that. I'm wondering if other panelists who've been incarcerated, if you want to talk about trying to get access to hormones inside.
I got diagnosed with gender identity disorder just this past bid a few months ago with my mental health provider. I seen a doctor, and then the whole COVID thing happened. Whereas the lady who was supposed to come from Fenway Health was supposed to come and meet with me and provide the prescription, and she couldn't end up making it, ended up leaving before. So I have to follow up on an appointment for that. But I was kind of excited to hear that in the state of Massachusetts, I was going to be the first male to female transgender to start hormone while in prison, because that doesn't happen. Usually, if you get your hormones from before and you have that medication, you follow up on it pretty much. So it was kind of cool to know that I was going to be the first one to start my hormone treatment while in jail. That's all I have to say.
I'm going to pivot a little because I'm mindful of time. Chastity, we can change a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about the Transgender Emergency Fund?
The Transgender Emergency Fund was founded in 2008 by Jesse Pack, a Caucasian trans man in Worcester, along with other few trans people. And they started because they had a trans woman of color who was homeless and needed somewhere to stay. So it started off basically about community members donating funds to help get that one individual some assistance. But what came out of it, the support was so overwhelming that they decided, okay, well, let's start a program out of this and see if we can raise funds to continue to serve people in this capacity. And I came into play around 2012, 2013. I was a recipient of the Transgender Emergency Fund. After leaving an abusive relationship, I found myself homeless in Boston, rejected from shelters, indulging in survival sex work. And somebody told me about the Trans Emergency Fund. And they actually assisted me by putting me in a room because they had the funds at the time to do so. And I was able to get on my feet. And there was nobody like that for me when I was under struggle. So I wanted to be there for other people. And I know that as girls going through worse situations than that. So I became the volunteer director in 2015. And what we aim to do is provide housing assistance, nutrition assistance, basic prescription co-payments if you can't afford your co-payments, transportation to your medical appointments if you can't get there. But right now, what we want to focus on is a transitional housing program. And this will be to help get trans folks off of the streets and provide them with those tools. And also, this will be a place where transgender individuals who are coming home from incarceration, they can come and stay and help them become sustainable. So they won't have to have some of these struggles that my co-panelists were talking about. And this is all about us creating more programs for us by us. And that's why it's needed. And I pray that other states adopt a model like the Transgender Emergency Fund. That's why we made it the Transgender Emergency Fund, Inc. of Massachusetts, because we want other states to emulate this and to provide these services so that it's possible that everybody in other states can receive these services as well. And the Transgender Emergency Fund, we don't get any state funding. Everything that we have is from donations, fundraisers that we put on, our Transgender Visual March that we just had in Boston a few weeks ago. That's how we raise funds. But now it's time for us to put some pressure on our city and state officials. And I feel like we should be doing this in every state to find out what funds are you gonna put into the Black transgender community. And that's what the Transgender Emergency Fund is all about. We are about social justice reform.
Awesome, thank you. And yes, I want to uplift. There are calls locally to reallocate funds from policing and other forms of state violence, and we need to shift those to support Black trans people, and we need to do it now. And so I would encourage you to check out all the links. This is directed toward the audience. Encourage you to check out all the links and see how you can support that and put pressure on people in power to get that money moved. Chastity, you also were one of the principal organizers for the Trans Resistance Vigil, which was amazing and a little setting on the call. So can you talk a little bit about the vigil and a little bit about organizing that?
Yes, along with my sister Athena Vaughn and other community members, it was important to have this because enough is enough. Right now, we say no more. We are tired of being beaten, killed, raped, prosecuted, mistreated, and not even being a second thought to most people. So within the past few months, especially since this orange guy has been in the office, people have felt the right that they have the right to abuse and to kill us. And recent attacks on us, the recent trans murders, Tony McDade, Ayanna Dior being attacked by 20+ Black people, we say no more. Like, enough is enough. So here in Boston, we even had Boston Pride put out a very insensitive statement that was very insensitive to the Black community, to transgender people of color. And we had a point to where we're gonna show people what we're capable of and what we can do. So that visual was to not only remember the people that were taken from us, but to also let the state of Massachusetts know the needs that we want, and that we're not gonna stop until we get it. Now you see how the crowd that we can draw, you heard our demands, and now we want certain things on the table for us, and there's no negotiating it. We've waited long enough, we've been silent long enough, we've asked quietly long enough, and now it's time for us to let our voices be heard. And that is what that March and Vigil was all about. It's all about our representation, fighting for our rights, and fighting for the things that we rightfully deserve. I don't think that we're asking for anything special, and it's mind-boggling because they think like we're asking for, they want millions of dollars, they want to live like celebrities. No, we want to live like basic human beings. That's what we want. And so pretty much that is a little bit about what that March and Vigil was about, and it's just the beginning to come, because Trans Resistance will be doing their own Pride in 2021. So that is the new Pride in Boston, Trans Resistance 2021. So look out for more details on that as well.
Awesome, thank you so much. Yes, I saw a lot of people posting that it was the best Pride they'd ever been to, so we all owe you a debt, thank you. Riot, I'm gonna pivot to you if that's okay. Can you talk a little bit, well, let's first actually talk about, you did an interesting perspective on carceral parenting. And so yes. Can you talk a little bit about the logic of policing happens at home and what it means to be an anti-carceral parent?
So basically, I am an abolitionist. I believe that we should abolish prisons, police, all monuments, historically monuments to white supremacy. I think we're done. I think we're done with that. So the way I parent is that I teach my child I teach my child, my 10-year-old, all the options. And she also now believes in abolishing the police. She knows that reform has been a thing. It happened. And in this case, when it comes to systematic oppression, you can't reform systematic oppression. It doesn't work. People tried that already and it didn't work. So now we're going to create new forms of how we want the world to be and move towards liberation.
Hi.
Hey. I love this. Can you give advice there? I'm sure that we have some parents or some prospective parents watching. Can you give some advice for how to embrace anti-carceral parenting?
I think, well, I mean, it's not easy, but as a Black parent raising a Black child, it's easier for me to explain why policing doesn't work. You know what I'm saying? To like maybe to a white parent with a white child, the white child might not be able to wrap their head around it because it doesn't impact them in the same way. But Val knows that if either her or I walk out on the street, we could be like killed for no reason immediately. So it's different. We like have conversations, like we could walk down the street talking about abolition. It's just what's natural to us.
And that's why we order online.
Thank you, Val. From Val. Riot, I'm wondering, I can imagine some people listening and wondering, like, okay, but how do you talk to your kids about keeping your kids safe? What happens if they need a safe adult? How do you navigate those conversations in a way that doesn't involve the police?
Mm-hmm. Do you want to say something, babe?
Can you elaborate?
Oh, okay. So basically, it's ever since she was a kid, she's still a child. Ever since she was little, it's been constant conversations that we've had. So it's not new to her. It's been something we've been trying to talk about and bring up, and it can be a hard first conversation to have. Obviously, like I didn't want to have like the talk with her about how to interact and navigate interactions with the police when she was 4 years old. But this is the life we live. There is no other way just yet. So it's something we need to talk about, even though it's scary and it hurts. And she wants there to be a world like, but what if I don't do anything bad? Well, unfortunately, we don't live in a world where Black folks don't really have to do anything for us to be murdered. So it's like just answering questions, being honest, but letting her and other kids know that there's hope, that we can work towards a better world, even though it seems hard and scary. It is scary to me. Like even me, like I think it's hard for parents because they feel like they have to be some stoic and not show their feelings to their kids. But there is a boundary that you can have. You can, like, obviously, you don't like have to freak them out or talk about things that they're not ready for necessarily, like ages and stages. There are things you can talk about and approach it in certain ways that's appropriate and still let them know and express yourself to let them know that you're there for them and you're in community together. Because that's what liberation for me, it does start internally and like with the people you love. It's not like a distant idea. Liberation is not a distant idea. It's about abolishing like systemic things, but also it's about like starting with the ones you love, like how are we going to move towards a world that takes down all these like terrible things, but like not talk to your kids about it? That seems kind of like weird.
That sounds like a big part of anti-carceral parenting is being honest and sharing feelings. And like you said, ages and stages, but we've got to start these dialogues and talk about reimagining safety. Thank you for talking about that, because there's not a lot of places that we can get information about this. Can I switch gears to the other? Oh, actually, Jen Luff, did you want to add?
I want to continue on what Riot said. Now, for me, no, I'm not a biological parent, but I am a Black child. I was a Black son, now I'm a Black daughter. And in the mid-'80s, by the time me and my brother, we're both single digits and we're 3 years apart, our mom and dad sat us down to explain the gravity of who we are, not only the essence and power of our being, but they made sure we understood that as we get older, we're going to see what racism is. We're going to see daggers stabbed in our backs, and our whole being constantly put down and doors slammed in our face just because we are Black. And not for nothing, when I came out later on, they had the same talk again with both of us, just adding on an extra strike, Black and gay male. And then when I came to become a woman, they had it with me one more time. And they've always, this is in the 80s, like 85-ish or so, that my parents had this talk with me, and periodically my mother still hits me up. Are you being safe out there? You know I'm only a call away. Mom, what are you gonna do? You're still my child. And to make sure I'm always aware of me being Black. To some people, they want me, and others like me take out my gender and my identity out the equation just because of my race. They want us gone. People that's supposed to serve and protect us want us gone. Not all, but there are some. And all you need is some to do harm.
I imagine, well, I'm gonna put a pin in this because I wanna keep going, but thank you so much for that. And then panelists, if we've got more in the future, or we got time, I encourage you to add on to that. It's a great conversation. Riot, can we switch gears a little bit and talk about what you were talking about yesterday? And talk about, you know, when we were envisioning this panel, we're talking about the criminal legal system in all of its form, before people are incarcerated, from the bills that are written to the services or lack thereof when people get out. So can you talk a little bit about FOSTA SESTA and acts like that?
So yeah, so FOSTA SESTA was a law, or it was a bill put in place, and now it's a law that it was supposed to protect folks from being sex trafficked, like folks like, because it's different from sex work, and then hopefully sex work is something that you choose whether it's survival or not, but sex trafficking is when against your will you're manipulated, coerced, what have you, controlled into doing this work, whether you're like a child or an adult. That's not okay if you don't want to do it. So so the law, FOSTA SESTA, was put in place supposedly so they would stop sex trafficking and make it hard so folks wouldn't get sex trafficked. The problem was it started shutting down websites so that sex workers could talk to each other and warn each other about dangerous clients. So now there's less websites and back page, what have you, things like that, where we could warn each other, especially for like folks who have to go out and do appointments, you know, or online, you know. But it's like especially harmful for folks who are doing this work in the street. They're not able to warn each other because we're censored from sharing this information with each other. So now it's even less so that we could like warn each other from knowing about a client who could be violent or transphobic and what have you, because we don't have the avenues to be able to help each other now.
Can you say, you just touched on it towards the end, but can you say a little bit more about how rules like this or laws like this disproportionately hurt trans people, and particularly trans people engaged in sex work?
So especially for like, for whatever reason, that was foolish. Because systematic things, obviously systematic oppression, trans folks of color might engage in sex work, whether they're like chronically ill, they might not be able to do a full-time job. If they're trans women, they might not even be given the chance to get job opportunities for jobs they actually want. For gender non-conforming folks, like walking in the room, the people will be like, absolutely not. so for what was the other thing? Damn, I forgot. But basically, for what we engage in sex work for a variety of different reasons. Maybe we even just want to. Maybe we're like, hey, like, you know, I don't know, like for a lot of different reasons. So we're impacted in this way, and then we don't even have a safe way to engage in the work.
Sorry, that's our dog.
Angie, do you want to respond while Rihanna's fixing that? Great.
Okay, so you hear me now?
Yep, perfectly.
Okay, when I started sex work and when I first started doing drugs, it wasn't because I chose to. Okay, I think it was, my point of view was, I always wanted this family that I could never have. It was the lack of love. I found more love in the streets and with the drug addicts and the girls that were in the same level that I was, doing the same sex work that I was doing and getting high at the same time that what I did with my family. And sometimes the lack of love, it leads you to a lot of things. Like a lot of us women, you know, transgender women, we're not fortunate to have that family like Jennifer Love says. So, you know, we try to find our comfort zone somewhere else. And I found my comfort zone as at that time was prostitution. Now it's called sex work. And hanging out with the people that were getting high, the people that were sniffing dope, shooting dope, or whatever the case may be. You know, I found love there. You know, not saying that it was the best thing, but it was neither the worst because I got the love that I was looking that my family then gave me. And sometimes that leads to many other things. Do I enjoy it? Did I like it? No. All I wanted was just a family. But you know what? I found a family in Black and Pink. I found a family in this panel. I found a family with GLAD. I found a family with PLS. So there's better ways to find a family. And the best thing that I love myself today more than what I did before. You know? Today I could stand up and say, Angie loves herself. You know? Before I couldn't say that. You know? Today I know the woman that I am. Before I couldn't say that. Okay? Because I didn't find that love. But thanks to you guys and thanks to all these organizations, and I always mention Black and Pink because Black and Pink is an phenomenal organization. Oh my God, what happened here?
You disappeared, but we can still hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, so Black and Pink is a phenomenal organization that when I said I needed help, they said attention. You know what I'm saying? And not only just Black and Pink, PLS, GLAD, you know, Katie. I met Katie in a meeting that we went out in Boston. It was amazing, and I met this woman, and she was phenomenal. You know, it was like, oh my God, Angie, you know, and to all my other sisters, like Jennifer Love. When I met her, I became so close to her, and today we both, you know, we don't have that relationship as we should be, but you know, we communicate. We always texting and Facebook. She sends me little things, I send her little things. When we meet, I'm always there. I show my love, you know, as a sister, you know. But yeah, I mean, you know, the lack of love plays a lot of role in our lives too, you know. It played a lot in my role, you know. But thanks to y'all, look, I have a brother that I never had. For an example, let's say Mike Cox. I have a sister that I never had, Jennifer Love. I have an aunt that I never have, Katie Arbor. Now you, and now the other girls that are here in this panel. So that's love to me. So that makes me keep on going in life. That makes me happy because all I want is a family. Can I get that? Can somebody say amen, please, for once? Can I have a family for once?
Angie, we are so lucky to have you in our family and so honored.
You know?
I am wondering, I'm seeing, yeah, you're getting big heart hands from the rest of the panel. I want to get back to Riot. And yeah, Riot, do you want to respond?
So yeah, I just wanted to say whether sex workers or folks who are engaging in sex work, whether it's a choice for them or not, they deserve to be able to communicate with each other and have some sort of safe way to do a job that can be really dangerous. So and so laws like FOSTA SESTA, things that were like should be to protect sex workers and end up not and just hurting them is like a problem. Yeah.
Absolutely. Before we move off this topic, yeah, it's important to acknowledge that, like, for a lot of people, sex work is not a choice, and for a lot of people, sex work is a choice. And regardless, sex work is work, and sex workers deserve protection. I'm wondering if any of the panelists who have experience about this, Riot, whether you want to answer this, or Angie, you want to answer this, but you know, what are, in terms of thinking about interacting with the police, right? Because that's what these systems do. They force you to get closer to the police. What do you want your cisgender peers to know about what it is like as a trans person interacting with the police?
I would like to just say, first and foremost, treat us how we identify. If I'm telling you I'm a transgender woman, I don't care what my ID says or what the name of my ID or what the gender marker is. What you see in front of you is what you get. So treat me as such.
I can't underscore that enough. Thank you for that. Other people want to respond? Yeah, Angie.
I had the same trouble also, but this is how I went about it when I changed my name and when my lawyers fought for me and the judge said that I was a woman, all my ID, social security, birth certificate, everything says female on mine. You know, everybody's not fortunate to have that, but the right way to go about it is try to get in touch with GLAAD. You know, GLAAD will help you out a lot in this. You know, they have Ben Klein out there, the lawyer, and they have other resources out there, but the best one that works for me was GLAAD, and if you reach out to GLAAD, GLAAD is gonna help you, and they're gonna make sure that your ID says female, because that's what you are. You know, now they go by your gender identity. You're a woman, so this is what you should be classified as, a female, not a male, baby. You're a woman. Remember that. So reach out to GLAAD, and if you need any information, you can always hit me up at Angelina Resto 679@gmail.com, and I could provide you with more information. Or you can call me at 413-317-3406, and I'll be more than glad to help any of the sisters that need this help. You know.
Thanks, Angie.
Yeah.
We were going to move to Q&A. Before that, Jennifer Love, I know you wanted to say something, and I wanted to actually ask you about the National LGBT and HIV Criminal Justice Working Group. I don't know if that was the thing you wanted to talk about.
Okay. I am a part of Black and Pink National, which serves incarcerated and formerly incarcerated LGBTQ plus people and people living with HIV. On a national level, it's a leadership incubator for formerly incarcerated LGBTQ people, as well as a federal policy think tank. Example, two bills that we worked on is the reform of solitary confinement and the Equality Act, which expands LGBTQ people's rights. I want everybody to make sure everybody is fully understanding and aware that we need to support Black trans leadership, Black leadership, all, I repeat, ALL, all Black lives matter, trans lives matter.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you so much. I'm wondering, was there another, I got a private message from Mike saying that you wanted to talk. I'm wondering, was there another thing that you wanted to speak to?
Me, Jennifer?
Yeah, you, Jennifer.
I would like for all my fellow sisters and brothers who are watching, at this stage in the game, please leave the Black market stuff alone and do everything legally. Know your rights as a person, as a human, and as a transhuman. If you are trans, if you're LGBTQ+, period, learn your rights. Speak to people, stay aware, stay informed. Don't ever let no one back you into a corner that you can't get back out of. Surround yourself with people that love you, that you can trust, and that you can call on, not only to hold your secrets, but be able to trust them enough to speak on your behalf. A lot of times our voices are silent. We are held captives within our own body, not because we choose to be, but because others make it that way. It's a fight just being you, and to have a good circle around you to fight for you and speak on your behalf, family, friends, it is so important. And we as a people must do better for ourselves with each other when it comes to each other.
There's something that you just said about the way that bodies are policed, not internally, but externally, that just really moved my heart. And I'm really mad at COVID right now because I just want to give you a hug. So can we put a pin in that at some point? I have word that Rihanna, your mic might be working again. And then I want to take a couple of questions from the chat.
Hello.
Perfect. Welcome back.
Thanks. That my raising hand was an accident, by the way. I was trying to tell you that. That was all.
Okay. So there's, great. I'm going to look over at my screen for a minute to see some other questions. If you see me looking up, it's just because there are a lot of monitors in front of me.
That's fine.
So what are some of the, I think this is a question for, this is a question from our cisgender peers and siblings about, like, what does it look like to protect trans lives, and in particular to protect Black trans lives? What do you need from our cisgender siblings?
Personally, like, what do you think I think we need? We need more support from the community as a whole. You know, like, Black Lives Matter, and I think every life matters, but as far as that goes, the community needs to have more resources for us to be able to branch out and speak up. We cannot do that with no resources, no funds, and Black and Pink is the only one we have right now in Massachusetts to speak up, besides the other organizations, the donating, and you know what I mean, and the other the foundations and stuff like that. So as far as that goes, that's what I believe in. Just more resources for the community.
Thank you. Do other people want to answer that question?
Definitely. I know Jennifer Love gonna answer this as well. We all have to. But definitely, I'm just gonna speak for, as a Black transgender woman, I need my Black community to get it together. Like, get it together. Like, it's Black brothers that are killing us. It's Black cisgender women that are inciting the fumes and flames for these Black men to want to attack us, because in their minds, they're telling Black men, if you look at a transgender woman, you're considered gay. And it's all these different stereotypes that are not true, that play on people's minds. And I have a hard time over the past few weeks, ever since Ayana Dior, saying all Black Lives Matter, because do they really? Because that's not how my Black community is making me feel. It's making me feel like my life don't matter. My Black trans sisters' lives don't matter. So I feel like we have a lot to do within our own community, within the Black community. And until that starts happening, we're never gonna be safe.
Jennifer?
Oh, to continue what Chastity is saying, that's like one of the biggest things going on with me right now. Even though this is Pride weekend, and I'm always going to celebrate my pride and my transness, but my Blackness is forefront. You can see that from a mile away. And it disturbs the hell out of me that I can't even feel safe within my own community. Yeah, I'm safe in my neighborhood, but when I go out of my neighborhood, where I grew, where I've been at since forever, yes, I get nervous. I wonder if this donkey is looking at me and this woman or this man points to him what I am. So now he's in his feelings. They amping him up, and he's going to be a jackass and then hurt me. And then I possibly even got ended back in prison for stabbing you, for trying to stab me up and beat me up. It's just so chaotic and so confusing. If we get it together as a community, as a Black community, there is no reason why we should never be that separated. If I violate you, damn sure violate me, but I ain't violate you. So let me in my life, my education be. And it disturbs me that my own people, you hate me just as much as the outside hates me, just because. It's ridiculous.
Thank you. I should also say that I'm really appreciating what people are saying, and I hope people are listening. I don't know if someone wants to add to that. I also would like to add one tweak to the question. What do you need from white people? What do you need from white allies, particularly the white queer community, right? Because I know people like me have failed the Black trans community. Jennifer, yes, please.
Okay, one, I can't speak for a whole, I'm speaking for me. I am not your charity case. I am not your poster child. 9 out of 10 times I'm probably more educated than half of you guys. However, respect me as an equal party. Don't use me for your show pony, for my talent or my beauty or what comes along with me. Respect me as an equal partner, because at the end of the day, we are still LGBTQ. Don't sit here. The same thing that the Caucasians, that's cisgendered and straight, is still within this LGBTQ Caucasians. You're given a natural privilege by birth. I get that. But I'm not your pony. I'm not your pet project. Respect me like I respect you. Don't sit here in my face. Okay, we're on the same level playing field, and I'm bringing it to the table. I'm rising to the occasion above and beyond. And then tomorrow, I get notations and everything else thinking I'm your damn pony. Give credit where credit is due, because I deserved it and I earned it. I'm not your pony. I'm not your little monkey jumping around on a toy. And some people I keep distance from because that's how you made me feel. And once I bring it to your attention, oh no, I didn't mean it like that. Then what the hell did you mean it by? Get it together. My LGBTQ plus community, get it together. We can do so much as a whole. My Black community, get it together. We can move mountains united. Okay, I'm getting off the race topic because I'm about to get extra emotional. I'll try not to curse, so continue.
You're doing amazing. You're doing amazing, thank you.
I want to second everything that my sister just said. And because that's how we're treated, these organizations, especially when you work for one of these organizations, they treat you as the tokenized trans woman that we put in the corner, and we bring you out when we want to prop you out to make our donors feel like, oh yes, we support Black trans people. That's not the case. That's not the case. I mean, I've been there all too well. So what I would say that we need transparency. We need consistency. We need seats at the table. Like I said, you know, Caucasian cisgender individuals, they hold a lot of different powers when it comes in these organizations and boards and committees and things like that. You need to make sure that there is a seat at the table for us. You can't speak for us. No matter how hard you try, no matter what school you go to, what Trans 101 class you take, you would never be able to speak for us. So we need a seat at the table. And that's my number one thing I can ask for, a seat at the table, and also educate your family members and friends and some people that might be in your family that might be considered white supremacists that you don't even know. And you need to educate them. Like, how do you feel about trans people? How do you really feel about Black people? And educate them, because at the end of the day, we all human. We all need air and water to survive. So I just want people to understand the basic things that we have in common so we can move forward as a community.
Thank you. Other panelists want to add to that? I'm gonna pivot a little bit to talking about, so we're talking about calling out what is essentially an almost exclusively white nonprofit industrial complex. And these are amazing pointers to like look at how do we know, for those of us who have white privilege, how do we know what organizations to support and which organizations to stay way away from? And so I appreciate that. In terms of thinking about people doing inside support, one of the things that people really wanted to know is, what does it look like to be a like whether it's a pen pal or whether it's someone's doing a phones app or whatever, you know, what do you need from your siblings outside to make sure that your voices are heard inside?
Can you repeat the last part again?
Sure. What do you need from those of us on the outside to support people who are inside? So when people are inside or interfacing with the criminal legal system, I mean, obviously intentionally not saying criminal justice, right? There is no justice. So when you're interfacing with the criminal legal system, what do you need from those of us in the free world to help you get the things you need, whether it's hormones, a lawyer, to get, you know, representation or out of solitary confinement? What can we do?
They need the support to know, oh, hold on, ready for me, rather? I just started something, I apologize.
No, you're good.
You need the support. It doesn't, you don't have to be someone's family to be their biggest supporter and biggest cheerleader. Someone who can properly learn them, be able to have them reach out to you to let you know what they need and let you know, inform you of how they're being treated, and you can speak on their behalf. It's going to be medical, as far as physical health, as well as mental health that's going to be needed. The HRT that's going to be needed. There's going to be legal help that's going to be needed. It's a lot that you can do. Don't stop. Every little bit helps. You don't have to move mountains. A lot of us are very appreciative, even though I'm no longer incarcerated. The littlest bit of help, even just to let somebody write you and just cry in the letter because they are broken, they are too damaged while they're in there. That goes a long way. It shouldn't take nobody that long of a task. I don't know about every state, but in Jersey, we got JPay. Okay, so just write a person, take a pen pal, just write them. They don't know your address and nothing. Just sit there and give them good cheers. You know it's their birthday time. You sit here and, okay, no matter what you're going through, keep your face, hold your head up. You'll get through this, what may be. Sometimes those little things go a long way.
Thanks, Jennifer. For people in the audience, I'm going to do a plug just quickly saying, you've heard a lot about Black and Pink. You know, this is not theoretical. You can support people who are currently incarcerated. You can and you should. So please support our Black trans siblings inside. Go to blackandpink.org. I don't remember the exact URL. Mike will post it. Sign up for a pen pal and be there for someone because you're hearing about how much it matters. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm just checking notes because we are about to hit 4:30, and so I want to figure out the best way to wrap this up. Yeah, so before we go to closing, a couple of things I've been encouraged to ask people, you know, panelists, please drop your personal Venmos and Cash Apps and whatever so that people can compensate you for this. You know, your time is literally invaluable. We can't pay you enough for this. And so please feel free to do that right now in the chat. And then, I think, so let's, in closing, I just want to ask you if there's one thing, just take 1 minute each, right? If there's one thing that you want people watching to take away from this, what do you want it to be?
I would say, whatever you've learned today, take that and educate someone else who may be uneducated. And also look and see what resources that you have that you can provide to the transgender community in one way or another, whether that's getting involved with Black and Pink, donating to them, or seeing how you can volunteer with them, or getting involved with the Transgender Emergency Fund at the transgendermercyfund.org to find out how you can volunteer or how you want to donate and get involved. Yes, money is good, but also non-monetary items are needed as well. Soap, tissue, all of these types of things are definitely needed. Toothpaste, it's basic necessities, just like Jennifer Love was saying earlier. Those are things that are also needed as well. So we accept those donations as well. And also just remember to keep peace, love, and light within your heart.
Thank you. I'm gonna go, so I see, Riot, I just see you going like this, so I'm gonna call on you next. And then I know, Rihanna, you had your hand up. So we'll go Riot, Rihanna. You don't want to, okay. Sorry, never mind.
Sorry, I just wasn't ready, but I can go.
We're not gonna do that. We're gonna go to Rihanna first then. We'll give you a minute, okay?
Hello?
Hey, we hear you.
Yeah. I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, and I hope you guys just realize that we matter just as much as you guys matter, and that we love just as hard as everybody else loves. And that's it. God bless you guys and keep praying for us.
Thank you. And again, welcome home. All right, Riot, do you want to go or should I call on someone else? You good?
I'm ready now. Okay. So what I want people to take away from this is, so I say I'm an abolitionist, but it's all about your action. It's going to be a long time till we abolish these systems that are in place. So we need to ask folks who are being incarcerated, who are on the inside now, what can we do for them? Because it's like, it's nice to sit there and be like, I want to abolish this, I want to abolish that, but not ask the people who are being affected by this specifically what we can do for them. And then also, not all trans folks are educators. They might talk about their experience, but not all of them want to like teach you something. So I definitely would say follow the folks who signed up to, who say they're educators, not just trans folks who like are just out there trying to live their lives, and you want to be like, ask them for a trans 101 whenever you feel like it. So yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big way. Who else wants to follow up?
I would like to say that whatever you heard of us women talking about, let it be your weapon, okay? And utilize it, you know, not only for your protection, but for the young generation that is also coming up, you know. Let's look out for them. Let's make sure that they're safe also, you know. Take this and let this be your weapon and utilize it, you know, for the young generation that's also coming up, you know.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who didn't go? Jennifer Love, you want it?
I wanted to say something to my elders in the LGBT community, regardless of, this is not a race situation, it's just the LGBTQ plus community. I'm 44. When I arrived on the scene in 95, I had elders who, there were some who was being kind of pervy, but then there was a great deal of them who wanted to answer all my questions and point me in the right direction and push me away from the negative things. They weren't trying to be my equals. They made sure I feel secure around them, and they wanted me to be a better me later on and have the access to the things that they didn't have. I do my best at 44 for the generation behind me. For everyone who's in this community, whether you consider yourself an elder or not, you are seasoned, you have been there, you have done that or something of that nature. It's a whole crop of us that's coming up, little ones of us. And they're gonna need your guidance. They need to see you in positive, motivating lights. And they're gonna need you to be their footprint for a better tomorrow. Because my mom and dad, even though I'm being raised with mommy and daddy, at a certain point in life at 19, they may love me still, but I had so many questions that my mom or my dad couldn't answer. So I took it under the wing of a dad of the lifestyle, and later on a mom of the lifestyle. So I'll be able to have someone to go to answer these questions, because there's so much running through my mind, and I could have been all over the place. Because I'm excited, I'm eager, I'm learning, and I'm seeing me finally, because I didn't have me on TV back then. So for all you elders, and there's members that's here now, do better, be better. Take a young one under your wing, not to sleep with them, not to turn them out,
but to mold them,
but to let them see what they should be, what they can be. Let them know you got your back, you got their back, because you fully understand what they're going through because you were there. Lead by example,
Yeah. Exactly.
and not with your hormones. But sorry, go ahead.
That
I can't thank you all enough for being on this panel. This was amazing, and I'm incredibly grateful for you all. And I hope we're all going to stay in touch.